Hey everybody, it's Jim Manna from Real Estate One and Max Brook. As you know, we have 10 million people that live in the state of Michigan, and of those 10 million, 3 million of them are realtors. So don't pick any Tom, Dick, or Harry. Call your expert, Jim Manna, to list your properties or homes. I sell vacant land. I've been doing it for 37 years. I can sell your home better than anybody else can. So call me at 248-763-2622.
Hello and welcome to the Chaldean Kitchen. My name is Linda Abbo, and today I'm going to be demonstrating an old family recipe, which is torshi, which is a family staple in every Chaldean household. It goes with many dishes. Today is torshi day. Torshi is a very easy process. The vegetables that go into the torshi is what your family prefers and likes. There's no right or wrong way of anything that can go into a torshi. My family likes cabbage, cauliflower, English peas, cucumbers, olives, and celery. Gloves are also important in this process because the curry has a lot of turmeric in it and it gets under your nails and it stains your hands. So gloves are important. Okay, now that we have our gloves on, we're going to start the chopping process. There is no particular way to chop. It's your preference, your way. Pick up, toss in. Back in the 1930s, there was a group of Chaldean men that migrated from Tilquepe to Mexico waiting for a visa. Well, while they were in Mexico waiting for a visa, it took so long, they started making lives there. And they got married there and had children. Well, we went to visit them. And while we were visiting them, they had their own recipe of torshi. And what was interesting was they had jalapeno in the recipe, and that only kicked the torshi flavor up a notch. So we brought that over from our Mexican cousins into our recipe, and it works beautifully. I have one jalapeno. Get some heat circulating. That's also a preference. Not all vegetables need to be chopped. Here's some pickles. You can throw these in whole. English peas do very well in torshi. Throw those in. Olives, no chopping. Goes right in. I have 2 cloves of garlic that don't even need to be chopped as well. Those can go in. Now our chopping process is done. I also want to share something about the pickle. The cucumbers that we were using, after a few days of fermentation, they would get wilty. So we got this idea of going to the Arabic store and getting the fermented pickles, and it worked beautifully. The next step is assembling the torshi into the jar. I chose this wide mouth jar because it's easy getting in and it's easy reaching in and serving your torshi right out of the jar. And it's glass, and I prefer glass over anything anyway. The assembly process is quite easy. You just make sure that everything gets distributed in here kind of evenly, which it will anyway. Compress, compress, compress. And now you're wondering, what am I going to do with the rest of these veggies here? Very simple. In a couple of days, when the fermentation process starts, these kind of wilt down a little bit. And what happens now, you have enough room where you can press down, compress these a little bit, and add the rest of your vegetables. In my family recipe, we have it down to a science of the ratio of the vinegar, which is apple cider vinegar, and the apple juice. How do we get to this point? When my mother made the recipe, she would use water, vinegar, salt, and brown sugar to cut the acidity. But as time went on, we discovered apple juice along with the apple cider vinegar, and it was perfect. Also tried and true is that we add the curry right to the top of the jar. And I'll show you why. So we add the curry, and then we add the salt right to the top of the jar. That's like this. The salt is going to melt right into the recipe. The curry is going to flow right through everything as we're adding our liquid. Again, 2-to-1 ratio. So we're going to add our vinegar. And this is the apple. Now, as you can see right now, everything is flowing right through the vegetables. All the curry, all the salt, everything is flowing right in. There you have it. Torshi is a preference. Some people like a little bit more curry flavor. Some people like it a little more saltier. Some people like a little bit more vinegar, a little more acidity. However, after a couple of days of the fermentation process, you're going to do a taste test, and then you're going to adjust according to what your family preference is. My mother used to chop the parsley to bits, put it into the torshi. Well, after like maybe a couple of 3 weeks, 2 weeks with the torshi, the parsley wasn't appealing. So rather than chopping up the parsley and you just want to extract the flavors out of the parsley, you just bouquet it right on top and 2 stalks of lemon. That is the last bit of the process. Now you're going to have fresh parsley. It's going to do its job. In a couple of days after the fermentation, you're going to remove the parsley and you're going to proceed with serving your delicious torshi. So after 3 days of letting the torshi sitting out on the counter, the room temperature helps ferment a little faster rather than putting it into the refrigerator. So before you serve your torshi, always give it a good flip and you give it a good shake. The curry settles to the bottom of the jar. So you have to give it a nice little shake so all the flavoring, all the seasoning will go into the crevices of the vegetables. Flip it over and serve.